Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Secretary DeVos, for being here. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for introducing into the record the January 9th and January 10th, 2017 memos. Secretary DeVos, when you made opening remarks, you said that some on this committee suggest full relief for defrauded borrowers. The point is that it's not just some on this committee. It was the Borrower Defense Unit in the Education Department as well. People who had been working on these cases. That's the point. And Secretary DeVos, the mission of the Department of Education is to promote student achievement and preparation for global competitiveness by fostering educational excellence and ensuring equal access. And when I look at how the department and you have been handling the borrower defense cases, I just don't see that that is consistent with the message and the mission of the department. With so many hundreds of thousands of students, including thousands in my home state of Oregon, stuck with loan balances and a worthless degree, if they even got a degree. I'm a former consumer protection lawyer for the Federal Trade Commission, and I know fraud when I see it. And these students were misled and cheated, and the fact that some of them may be making money doesn't mean that they weren't defrauded. If somebody went into one of these programs hoping to become a nurse, for example, and now they're selling clothes at a department store, it doesn't mean that they weren't defrauded. And I hope you can put yourself in the shoes of some of these borrowers. I know it's challenging, but they went to try to find a better path for themselves. And instead of getting a good education, they got collection notices and wage garnishments. And in September, the department admitted to violating a court order by illegally demanding loan payment from more than 16,000 Corinthian borrowers seeking borrower defense. And that number has now increased to 45,000. And the issue came to the public's attention only after you were held in contempt for violating a court order. So this is not a new problem. In fact, more than a year ago, a court ordered the department to stop seizing tax returns of borrower defense applicants. That was the Williams case. So you and the department have known about this issue for years. So why did the department continue to bill more than 16,000 Corinthian borrowers in violation of the law?
Well, Congresswoman, I'm sorry you weren't here when I talked about that earlier on, but what I said was it was very clear that the borrowers that made claims for Corinthian college programs were in forbearance, were not accruing interest per my direction prior to the court order a court injunction in May of 2018. Since then, a year later, there were errors made within federal student aid and with some of our servicers, human errors that once we became aware of them, we immediately acknowledged and immediately went to work to correct and rectify the problems for those impacted students.
And I'm going to reclaim my time and ask another question.
It's 99.8%.
Secretary DeVos, I'm going to reclaim my time and ask another question. And I was here, I just didn't find the answer satisfactory. How many times has a court already found that the department has illegally collected payments from borrowers or seized their wages or tax returns?
How many times? It was.
Have other courts found that?
In relationship to the court injunction from May 2018, and General Brown can comment to the specific numbers of impacted borrowers, and frankly, what we have done. For the record,
there were other cases
to make sure that all of those cases were addressed and taken care of, which they have been.
And you say, Secretary DeVos, that you care about the responsible use of taxpayer dollars. So the judge in the Manriquez case imposed sanctions in the amount of $100,000 for violating an injunction. So who paid that? You personally or the taxpayers?
I'm not aware that it's been paid. It's an injunction and a judgment against the Department of Education. So
you're not aware if it's even been paid?
I don't believe, I don't know. I can.
And who do you expect to pay that? Will you pay that personally, or will the taxpayers pay
Well,
that?
I think there is a appeal to suggest that it's not appropriate to fine another federal department.
So in my remaining time, it was the borrowers who discovered that the department was billing them improperly. This is not a result of the department's oversight. So we know there are many borrower defense claimants who are watching today. How are you going to assure them that you're doing everything in your power to help them get relief and that they won't have their wages garnished or their tax returns taken in the future?
Well, I'm very hopeful that we will be able to continue to move ahead with our new methodology and assuming no challenge from, through the courts of that methodology, we'll be able to process these claims that have been pending for many years.
And that's the methodology
And
that if
that's a-
someone's making
that's
money,
a
they weren't
focus-
defrauded. And
that's a
that is
focus
not
on-
justice, Madam Secretary, and I yield back.
Thank you. Before I